Let's start with a Tua injury. Good news, he's flying back with the team. Obviously, there's going to be the NFL Players Association's not happy. It looks bad. Standalone game. Only 4 days off for Tua to recover from a situation where he got up and wobbled. Really serious. It looked like injury, being slammed to the turf. One of the things I first thought when he got slammed to the turf, it was very obvious. Immediately, he had to be taken out of the game, and it was a serious medical issue, is about 2 or 3 times a year, and I'm just throwing that number out, during a game I'll see a player get up and I'll watch him wobble. And, to eliminate the doubt and the questions, why not have something called like a wobble rule? If you get up at any point on the field, indecisive, struggle with balance, you're out the next week. You're out. Now a team could manipulate that, keep players on the field, tell the players never get up. But I see this too often, fairly regularly, that you see players get up like Tua last week against Buffalo, and he's got an issue above the shoulders. Now, the Dolphins say it's a back issue or it's some other issue. They don't right now. Their owner is suspended. So within that organization, who makes that call? Is it the GM? Is it the head coach? Is it Tua? Players generally fight to play, especially quarterbacks, because they don't get hit like other players. They get protected at practice. So quarterbacks, they want buy-in from players. They're Justin Herbert. He's going to want to play. You saw him last week. He was in complete pain in the very first quarter for the Chargers against the Jags. He's trying to make a point. I'm tough too. I can take the pain too. I know you guys are in collisions constantly. So the player generally has to be saved from himself. And so the wobble rule, put it into effect. Tua's flying back with the team. He is a smaller athlete, hurt a lot at Bama, hurt a little bit in Miami. Now this, he's also not only a smaller athlete, but he's fairly stationary. A lot of the smaller quarterbacks who have had success in the NFL, Russell Wilson, Fran Tarkenton when I grew up, Kyler Murray, they move around. Michael Vick, they can avoid hits, also sometimes run into them. But, Tua is kind of your classic pocket passer. He was a Drew Brees comp coming out of college. Sit in the pocket, very accurate, get rid of it quick, not a great deep ball thrower, not hyper athletic. And that's a lot of what he is. He's a very, very accurate thrower, but he is a smaller athlete and a stationary target. And, you saw the violence in which he was slammed to the turf. So the good news, he's flying back with the team. But I think we have to create, safety really does matter in the NFL. Everybody's playing hurt to some degree, but I do think there needs to be some sort of absolute, definitive rule. You get up, you wobble, you're out next game, regardless of when that next game is. Let's talk about the football game. I said I felt Cincinnati would win because I thought the Miami defense, which was on the field for 90 snaps in that South Miami Heat against Buffalo, would run out of gas in the second half. And I think as you watched, you could see it was a very good defensive effort by the Dolphins in the first half, very feisty, very twitchy. I thought they'd run out of gas. They just kind of, there was those big plays over the top, which Cincinnati could not engineer in the first half. They got several in the fourth quarter over the top. That's just corners that are exhausted. That's too much time on the field. I thought, Cincinnati, here's something to remember. So, and I'm going to defend Cincinnati, not just because Joe Burrow's on this podcast with a volume. First week, they gave up 7 sacks. Second week, 6 sacks. Third week, 2 sacks. Tonight, 1 sack. New offensive line, takes them a while to gel as a unit. I think they've mostly solved their offensive line issues. You're not going to confuse it with the Dallas Cowboys, 6-7 years ago, or whenever Dak came into the league, or the mid-'70s Steelers. You're not going to confuse it for that, or the Hogs in D.C. But I think it's a competent offensive line, not particularly great at center. Guards, they've upgraded. Tackles are, I think, fine. But 7 sacks, 6 sacks, fewer sacks, 1 sack. I think they've largely solved that, especially in the second half for a gas defense for the Dolphins. A lot of time. This is an offense in Cincinnati that needs to hit on big plays. When did they separate in this game? Fourth quarter. Why did they separate in the fourth quarter? Over the top, big explosion plays. That's what they are. That's what Joe Burrow is. He's going to throw some picks. He's got a little Matt Stafford. He's going to be at times a little reckless. He's going to let it rip. He's going to throw some picks. He's going to make mistakes. But he is going to burn you and take big swings over the top. So the game kind of, the realization of what happened in the game, kind of what we thought would happen. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater's one of the top, 4 or 5 backups in the NFL. He and Tua actually, kind of athletically, stylistically, Tua's a little better, kind of the same guy. Sit in the pocket, not great deep throwers, don't push the ball down the field particularly well, not going to move around a lot, but smart guys, get the game, get the offense, good at the line of scrimmage, super accurate, get rid of it quick. But the team that I think now is going to surge here for the next couple of months is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they'll only get better. Remember, Joe Burrow didn't take practice because of the surgery. He didn't play in the preseason. They're 2 losses now. Overtime. This is a real good football team. But Miami deserves a lot of credit outside of their medical staff. Very, very good effort on a short week. Cross your fingers. Prayers for Tua. He's flying back with a team. And I think we would all agree at this point he needs to worry about his health first, sit out a couple of weeks. Teddy Bridgewater takes control. That feels like an obvious one for me and probably you.